home. My mother was an immigrant, immigrating from Germany after the war as a child. And she had 4 smaller children in tow. And as a single mother, speaking only German, she managed to purchase this home. And so it's been in our family for 53 years now. And to me, it is deeply sacred. And the stories that have come through here, the soul that has grounded here, has enriched my life immeasurably. Not the least of which, you know what, Brenda? That's actually.
All right.
Not the least of which are Brittany Green and Steph Apple. So, unfortunately, we are in the throes of a pandemic for which there's no analogy. I mean, there's nothing in modern history that we can compare this to. And I look at all of you, and you will be the tip of the spear. You will be the people that push back. We have a sacred mission before us. Now, we've lost Brittany, and we've lost Seth, and we lost the 23 before them in just a few short years. But we can push back. We can be the voice of hope. We could be the voice of recovery. And by that I mean families. You know, we're at a point in our history where everyone has skin in the game. So what we're going to do is we'll have a sacred ceremony, and as part of our inner circle, we give our people dog tags. And on that we stamp their name. And in some cases we ask them to stamp their credo. That is to say their short belief statement. Something they'll stand for. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for everything.
Exactly.
So, in turn, Marta, do you have that multicolored?
It's right here.
Okay. I'm going to put this on the fire because this kind of represents who Brittany was to us. She was a person of pure color.
Exactly.
And pure sparkle. So, don't try this at home. Let's see how that. We've never done this before, but
Let's hope it doesn't blow out.
grab here. One of the lies they tell us is that this is a personal failure. Brittany tried harder than anyone I've met before. She used to wake up at 2:30 in the morning to get on a series of buses to go to her factory job. So she was trying hard to pull her life back together. She tried harder than anyone I had seen before. She did this amazing. She did some amazing artwork for us. I have it at the Institute. I'll take some pictures and show you guys. But Brittany was just one of those beings, one of those souls that fairly sparkled. I mean, just to be in her sort of her reflected glow of being was a powerful experience. So we were honored to have her as a misfit, to have her as a member of our tribe, and she enriched our ways in enduring ways. So she will always be here, and now she'll always be a part of our memorial. So if I could prevail on you, if you want to maybe come on up and introduce yourself, and just come on up and.
My name is Brian Connergood. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict in recovery. Brittany Green was my best friend for 15 years. We also dated twice. Just recently we broke up over my use. Brittany was 2.5 years sober. and I started using. In turn, I ended up going to treatment. We never ended up getting back together. She found another man, which was far better than what I could provide for her. And sitting in front of me right now, beautiful soul. As I would have done anything in the world for Brittany at any time, any place. Brittany was one of a kind. There's not a soul on the face of this earth that you could compare to Brittany. She was wild. She was dedicated to her sobriety. And I hate to say this, but in the end, her mental health issues and her addiction took over and defeated her, which was seriously sad. Like Raynard said, it's just, she worked so hard at this. This was the single most hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I visited Brittany every single day. This man right here spent every single night in that room with her while she was in a coma, going through what ended up being her last days. But the greatest thing I can say is the people around her and the love that was expressed to Brittany while this was going on through the process of her passing was shown beyond I can even explain to you. So many people were up there and there was so much support, and it was all because of this program. And people like Raynard, people that, all these guys in these sober houses, all these people, all this support was all through this program. So, if I can say anything to anybody, this is where it's at. There's nothing out there that's better than this. And it's proven, as you can see. I mean, I know a little bit about Raynard and his past, and look at him now. I know many other people, like Matt. I know his past, and I know where he's at today, and it's because of this program. So, Brittany succumbed to her addiction after 2.5 years of sobriety, and the reason she got 2.5 years of sobriety was because of this program, and lived an amazing life. That girl was happier, the happiest person I've ever seen in my life while she was sober, before she relapsed, and it was all because of this program. I can't give any other credit other than AA, these meetings, and the people that are around them. That's all I got.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
You need that?
Yeah, I'm gonna need this.
Thank you.
And both for Brittany and for Seth, I'll ask if anybody wants to speak on their behalf. This is the time to do so. To follow up where I was talking, this was not a personal failure. People come to us with needs so deep and sort of a severity of challenges so profound, and we toss them into a system that is structured to make them fail. And what happens when they fail? This is not a Brittany problem, this is a systems problem. And it's going to take a group of people who can think outside of the box and admit what we're doing. I left the system. After 20-something years as a clinician, I said, this is not working. This is not meeting my community's needs. So we need to think out of the box. And that is what I'm going to encourage people to do, to step their game up and to reject the model that they've been given. It's a 1970s playbook, and it never worked. And now we need to change it up a little. again, I want to restate, Brittany worked as hard as or harder than anyone I ever knew to get this mystical, elusive thing called recovery. Anyone else like to represent? Okay, she joins us on the wall. She'll always be here, brother. Next, Seth came to us, and to know Seth, I could say categorically, to know Seth is to love him. You know, I mean, I know I'm a counselor, we're not supposed to have favorites. You just love some people, you know, with all your heart. And that's just the way it is, you know. Seth was and actually I would have to say Seth and Brittany were probably two of the more engaging, lovable, authentic young people I've encountered. I've had the pleasure to encounter and to work with. You know, but again, this was not a Seth failure. How do I tell the apples? How do I tell the apples after a series of expensive treatments, supposedly the best we can do, that treatment works? The words sound as hollow as I say them out of my mouth. Again, we need to fundamentally rethink how we provide services for these young people. Seth, when he played guitar, he played with every fiber of his being. You know, and you had to be down with his thing, but I could never help but just not be just taken up into the enjoyment of the music when Seth played guitar. I'm going to miss this cat like few others. You know, he joins the 24 on the memorial. We have the apples here tonight, and again, it is an honor to consecrate one of our own. And Lance, you got anything in you?
No.
No, Mom. Here, you gotta hold. You have to hold the sacred tag.
Okay. Yeah. I talked with Alex about this, and when Alex Lance and I were talking last night, I remember sitting in your office when Seth first was coming through, and you were talking with him, and you point blank said to him, "You know, Seth, I think you're gonna kind of be a pain in the ass, but I know we can work together, and I know it's good fit." And that was how we felt, because Seth lived life on his terms, and he that's what he did, and he did that well. And when he was healthy, that was wonderful, you know. And when the addiction took over, that wasn't wonderful, you know, for him. But we're grateful that he met up with many of you here, and he knew he was loved, and and we're very grateful. Katie too, I think I can speak for Katie. You want to say anything, Katie?
Come on up here, dear.
Katie's Seth's girlfriend. You want to hold that?
You must hold the tag.
Gotta hold the tag.
Hi, my name's Katie. I loved Seth this very day. I always loved Seth. I planned on spending my life with him. He was such a good guy, decent guy. You can see he's brought up by his parents, and he grew into such a decent guy, and I knew him in high school, and I'm just at a lack of words, but what I stood up to say is that I want to start a petition to get cough medicines put behind the counter to require a prescription, and everybody is welcome to sign that prescription. And I do believe that petitions, I don't like talking to the camera, I'm not good at that, but it's important that we take the action to contact the people with a petition who are in charge of what get put, what kind of medicines get put behind the counter that require prescription, because, well, we lost Seth, and I don't want this to happen to anybody else's loved ones. He was such a good guy, and I miss him, and that cough syrup stuff, that stuff's evil, and sleeping pills, and that stuff needs to require a prescription if somebody really needs it. So maybe we can do a petition for it.
That would be the least we can do, but it's going to take, again, this generation to fundamentally rethink our approach. Well said, Katie. Thank you.
I love him. I miss him. That was my happiness there. He's gone, and he was on his way to rehab again, and he didn't make it to rehab again. And like his mom said, he could have gone 3, 4, 5 times even, and he would have made it. He would have beat this. But he's gone now.
Thank you both.
Thanks, honey.
You're both very brave.
Thank you.
Very brave.
Thank you.
One thing we can do is to engage our families. Now, Packard has had family services without charge, since we launched in 2007. And we've just partnered with another local organic nonprofit, Keys to Serenity. And Brenda's going to say a little bit kind of about what we can do to maybe work with families and loved ones, significant others in our community. So, well, here's this is Seth's.
So my name's Brenda. I have an organization called Keys to Serenity. I lost my own daughter 3 years ago to a fentanyl overdose, and at the time of my daughter's death in 2016, a lot of people weren't really being open about how their child died. I thought it was very important to be open and honest about how Sheena passed away. I was damned if anybody was going to speak ill of my daughter and make up stories. I was going to be the one to say it like it is, and my daughter would have wanted that. So I was very open and honest about her death, and I want to break the stigma involved with these deaths of our children. It's the stigma involved with addiction, and there's definitely the stigma involved with the death of our children. I started a nonprofit after that in my daughter's name because I wasn't going to let my daughter die in vain. Her death was going to bring light to something, and I knew there was not much help with the families left behind, and the loved ones left behind, and I wanted to honor her by helping these families, by giving a small donation to offset the costs. I mean, these deaths are devastating to families. We're not prepared, and my daughter had some years of sobriety, and died on her first overdose. And like I said, I wanted to give back to the families and the loved ones, and to Seth family. Peace be with you, because it's hard, and I'm not gonna say that it's going to get easier. It's just we learn to deal. And to Brittany's friends, peace be with you guys too. We're not going to let our children die in vain. We're going to fight. And Seth and Brittany would not want us to cry. They would want us to fight, and that's what we're going to do.
Well said, Brenda. Our house management, Abe, is he here?
Yeah.
Oh, Abe, there you are. Has prepared a little something. If you want to stand by and fellowship after we consecrate, please feel free to do so. Again, little story on the house. My mother came from Germany. She bought this house as a single mother in 1966. At a time where single moms didn't often buy houses, certainly not German-speaking ones with 4 small children in tow. But she bought the house, and there was always a place by the fireplace in my mother's home. There was always a place at that dining room table in this home. And in 2011, when she passed, we opened it up as the recovery residence of Emma. And since then, we've had over 300 people, get a new beginning in this location. I need to do a full disclosure here. In the days before Brittany's death, she called me and she said, "Look, I need to come back to Emma." We did not have room at the inn, Of course, I referred her to just some of the other valued people that I work with, but I have to carry that with me now. We just didn't have room at the inn at that time. I guess I just needed to confess that. I can't fix this problem myself, but together we can be part of a broader solution, and we call it the recovery revolution. And I prevail on all of you to join the revolution, to push back, to fundamentally rethink how we treat people, how we treat each other. When I was at Britt's service, it was very, very powerful. People would come up and refer to themselves as, "Oh, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict." That may all be true, and we sort of say that in our little meetings over there. But my entreaty to you now is to start referring to yourself as a person in recovery. Let me say the same thing in a different way. Sure, we can jive each other at our little meetings, and we know what all that means. But out here in the real world, we are people in recovery. And allow me this: when Brittany died, she died as a woman in recovery, not an addict. And when Seth died, he died as a man in recovery, not an addict. We are far more than that singular facet, that singular expression of something. Do we say someone dies as a diabetic? Of course not. That does not reflect their humanity, their basic humanity. So my challenge, of course, to our people in our little circles, we are people in recovery. So, without any further editorializing from me, let's have Brittany and Lance.
One more thing.
Please.
Carol and I would like to give this to you and to the Packard Institute. We received so many wind chimes.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that we
Wow.
thought we would share that with you. And just as the music rings, that reminds us of Saturday.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much. Joey, can you hang this?
Yeah,
On
take care.
the front?
Yeah.
That's going to be beautiful, and I will think of them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lance. I'll take the dog tag back. Joe, you want to do the honors? We're going to all slip out the back door here and consecrate. Sorry, I saw them. Yeah, you're probably going to need it.
He's going to need a light, yeah. Once again, folks, if you're just tuning in to 3-3 to go, we are currently live.
Watch your step.
Watch your steps, folks. We are currently live at the Emma Recovery Home for the Packard Institute. We are heading out now outside to where their mural is and where they hang all their dog tags. There will be a light out here momentarily. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
There's actually a nail up already in there. There's one already up.
But let's do two more.
Yeah, right? I think I got one big enough around his neck right now.
Who, me?
Yes.
They'll bring another light in a second. Okay, we got it. We're gonna do the deal.
How do you turn it back on?
I'm still live. We're good.
I'll give you my cell.
Let me tip this a little.
that on.
Come stand by me, Scott. It's a good angle. There you go.
Actually, I'm gonna have you step over here, Joe.
So
Just above that, we're gonna have to start a second row. Right, but not just yet. I'm gonna do a reading of the names. Again, I'll give you a little backstory. Backstory on the memorial itself. This mural and memorial was actually bought and paid for, conceived, designed, and bought and paid for by the young people of this house at that time. In 2015, we consecrated our first young soul here. We put in memorial gardens, and it was extraordinary and beautiful, and the gardens are a work in progress, of course. But at that time, we had no way of knowing what would eventually unfold before us. So I'm just going to do a reading of the names, and then we're going to add Brittany and Seth to the memorial. Kate Snyder. Joshua Legg. I believe today is Joshua's birthday, if I'm not mistaken. Matt Lepresti, he was the first, 22. Joey Kilbill. Cindy Thompson. Cindy had babies of her own. Lance Lyons. Daniel Snyder, Kate's cousin. Ian Hawk. I just visited Ian today at Mount Peace Cemetery. The eve of his death, he made his famous Oreo ice cream concoction for the house. He passed the next day. Matthew Keller. Aaron Carter. Liz Hall, a best friend of Brittany. Jason Greenwald. Kim Murray. Sean Warney. Melissa Helsel. Again, she had babies of her own. Mark Trillo. Babies of his own. Tom Rao. Visited him today. Luke Zach. Shane Legg. Caitlin Klingman, babies of her own. Joshua Knight. Colin Schaff, played beautifully, a friend of Seth's. Cody Groves, babies of his own. Seth Apple. like to hang, Seth?
Here, no, please. I'll go with you.
Brittany Green. Also just want to send out my love and appreciation. I'm afraid the revolution must be televised, and I want to thank everyone for being a part of our sacred circle. This very land has their spirit with us now and forever. If you'd like to join me for a bite, please feel free to do so. I would like to close the circle with a prayer. If we can maybe join hands.
Okay.
What a rock. We will say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.